Hello and welcome to the Build with Bear workshop. My name is Pat Baer. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Harold right before I started recording this, so it won't show up in the YouTube archive, but some folks in chat saw that. Harold is hosting, which I appreciate very much. Thank you for that, Harold. We're waiting for folks to join us here in the chat. I'm going to throw the Bear Cave emote in there. But yeah, we're gonna see if we get a few more folks joining us before we start building and chatting. Smash Mouth is here. Hello, Smash Mouth. Welcome. Excellent. Excited to have you. Thanks for being here. Uh, Urbinia is here. Road is here. Um, hey, caps lock is fine. Sometimes you just want to shout it. Um, I love this because a bunch of you are chatting, and my dashboard says one view, so which is now it says 10 viewers. Okay, great. So it was only off by 9. Fine, that's totally cool. Um, but yes, hello and welcome to the Build a Bear Workshop. We are working on our Lego U-Wing fighter, which I'll pull up here. Um, we are right now the thing. Oh, you know, the yellow is being see-through here. That's weird. That's yeah, that's happening. Um, Yeah, the Twitch viewer account, I often, when I'm starting my streams, I have the dashboard open and then I have the actual page open because that usually is a better guide of how many people are actually watching you at any given time. So, yeah, so we've got our, sorry, I just got a message here. No big deal. We've got our U-Fighter. We're doing a Lego set. This was purchased off my Amazon wish list, which is rad as hell. Thank you so much for that. Asmo purchased this. Oh, Jay Murph is now following. Thank you, Jay Murph. Appreciate that. But yeah, we're waiting. We're going to see if a few more folks want to join us before we get into building. My voice is going a little bit, so I apologize. I'm going to actually turn myself up. All right, I turned myself up so that I can speak a little quieter. So I apologize. Yeah, my voice hasn't been 100% since I got back from PAX, and I've been treating it and taking care of it. But yeah, sometimes after a long week of work and already doing one stream, doesn't work. One thing I want to say before we start building, we get back into the building, um, is so the piece here. I was noticing how these were like rockers and how that was weird. You can't really see it in there, but they're not stationary. There's like a rocker built into this. And I figured out it's because this is where the launchers go in the front in those pieces. And these will probably pop up. And then if you press down, it will launch them out, which is pretty clever because it's built into the mechanics. It's not like oftentimes with these triggers, you just press a button at the back of it. Um, but this is a little bit more unique. So I'll be interested to see how that works once we actually complete the whole thing and I put the missiles or lasers or whatever you want to call them, the things that get launched, the launchets. Um, so we're going to focus on bag two, which I already knolled. We might as well go to the overhead shot for that. As you can see, I did my knolling here. Everything from black to dark gray. Um, and I did a super null, which is when I have the time to actually like put like-minded pieces together, or exactly like not like-minded, exact pieces together, and to organize it even further that way, um, so that I can find them faster. So not just like gray. I'm like, oh, this gray piece. Oh, this white piece. Oh, I have to adjust. I did not turn this. Pardon me. Configure video. There is a way to make it so my camera never autofocuses, or I can do it every single time and forget that I'm doing it, that I haven't done it. So, fun times. Um, ooh, we got a little. Everything should be good, especially in the recording. Looks like I'm getting a little bit of a delay. If things are choppy, please let me know. Right now, I'm not seeing any drop frames, but I do know that I was having some issues with my internet today. I refreshed everything, rebooted everything, took the Wi-Fi off, turned the Wi-Fi off, so did everything I could on my end. Um, Okay, the stream sounds good. Nate says it's good. Road says it looks good. Okay, well that's good. My little video preview is not working, so I'm just gonna mute that. It's probably just stuff on my end. As of right now, it doesn't look like I have any drop frames, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Um, but yeah, if it gets weird or off, let me know, please. So, um, we've got it got hotter again, so hopefully my arms won't start sticking to this when we're building because I'd like to build right here. But yeah, I've done the job of knolling. We don't actually need the U wing at the moment. We are going to be building the U part of this, the things that get attached here and go out to make our U. So we're working on that in bag two, which is fun. The U wing is a very cool looking kit, so I'm excited to build that. So we'll pull this forward. Yeah, this will be our build area. That's good. Having it knolled is always nice. For me anyway. It really does make it feel like I'm in control of what's going on, which is important. But yeah, I'm happy to see so many people in chat. Very nice. Hope you're all doing well. We're doing all right. Had a nice relaxing day. Paid some bills because it's that time of the month where bill payment happens. So did a bunch of bill pays and took a walk today, which was nice. It was a good day off. Saturday's kind of like my Sunday in that I work Sunday through Wednesday evening. So having having today to just kind of like relax was nice. Last night I went out. I saw Mr. Dan Reichert on a comedy panel. It was Mike Drucker's show. I think I mentioned it during the chat that I would be going to that. That Mike has a show that he does semi regularly, and I went to go watch that. Played old video games and made fun of those old bad video games. It started with Shaq Fu, and it was terrible. Shaq Fu is not a terrible game comparatively. Let's be honest. The best game that of the games that were shown, the most competent actual game was Horses with a Z for the Game Boy Color. So that should tell you everything you need to know about the quality of games that were played at Shit Arcade. Also, the name of the show is Shit Arcade. Harold says that you hit 300 followers on Twitch today. That's awesome, Harold. Congratulations. You've been plugging away at it, and that's great. I hope more and more people tune in to watch. Especially as we begin to get towards Extra Life and things of that nature. Okay, so that. Okay. Goes there, and that goes like that. All right. Okay, going along here. Hello, the Hollow, and welcome. Happy to have you here. And this one is a long piece, but how long is it? 3, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 piece. Great. Yep, this things move pretty fast when you've knolled properly, I find. I mean, just having it separated with color is a huge help, but being able to follow through up on it and not throw up on it, follow through on it, I should say. Very helpful. I'm doing well, the Hollow. Thanks for asking. As I said, had a pretty relaxing day. Oh yeah, so Dan did very well. Obviously, his knowledge of video games helped him quite a bit. They played the Tick video game, which because Griffin Newman, who on the new version, the Amazon version of the Tick, Griffin plays what's his name? Shoot. What's the Tick's friend's name? I don't. Arthur. Arthur. He plays Arthur, Thank you, Lashbrook. Arthur. Griffin plays Arthur on the new version of the Tick, so it was fun to have him play the Tick game, and we got to learn things about the Tick, things I didn't know. So the Tick was a self-published comic book that, like, a comic book company, like a comic book store, was publishing for the author who was like 16 at the time, something like that, and so it was doing very well, and then somebody was like, we should make this a video game because the Ninja Turtles are very popular. And so it got licensed as like toys and a video game. And then they got the cartoon on Fox. Oh, hey, Board, welcome. So it's like a very backwards, weird thing. So there's a bunch of characters in the video game that aren't in the cartoon because they hadn't figured out what the cartoon was going to be, which is also the most popular version of the show they ever had, or of the Tick was the show. So it's very strange. It was very strange to hear all those facts about the Tick because I had never read the comic. I watched the cartoon. I watched the first live action. Now I'm watching the second live action. Um, yeah, we'll throw the Bear Cave emote in there. We got a bunch of subscribers watching. If you're not a subscriber, you could join up, and then you'd be a Bear Cave. You'd be in the Bear Cave, and you could use the Bear Cave emote done by Alexandra. Uh, and if you were one person and me, you can use the Lego emote, which is pretty cool. That's for $10 a month. You don't have to do that. Don't do that. It's very cool that Iron Souls does that. Every month, Iron Souls gives me $10 and never watches live. But that's fucking rad as hell and much appreciated. All right, so we're just putting these pieces on here. Um, the table isn't shaking. So what happens is sometimes when I'm building stuff on the table and I put pressure on the table, it shakes and it's a little too close to the overhead camera, which causes that to shake. Because at the end of this table here are two monitors on a good stand. I've got my monitor that shows me exactly what's going on in OBS, and I've got my monitor that shows me exactly what's going on in chat, and then I have Twitter open, another tab, and my emails open, and all that stuff, so I can kind of keep track of what's going on. My Google Doc that has like links to things for when I do my ad break and all that stuff. Um, so it causes sometimes if I put a lot of pressure on the table, it causes it to shake, and I do apologize for that. I should be building off the table, not on the table, or at least assembling on the table. All right, so put that one of these, and which wing do we need? This wing. Great. So now we're just doing more parts of our U-wing. But yeah, overall it was a fun night. Ran into some people I know from the Giant Bomb community. Saw a lot of comics I know, which was nice. A couple of the other guests on Mike's show were people that I'm friends with, which it was very fun to check in. And hopefully in the future I'll do that show. I'd like to do that show in the future. It would be very fun. Revolution X was played, so there was a couple games that are good bad. Like Revolution X is very good bad, so that was fun to play that or to watch people play that. Although watching people play ostensibly a light gun game with a controller was a little rough. Like that game is not meant for a controller. It was very bad. All right, so then we're going to flip this over and finish our hinge here. And what other piece goes there? Our hinge, and then a piece that will go and get connected to our frame. Got my fan going here. It's moving my paper a little bit. I don't remember the last time I got to play a light gun game, and that bums me out. Yeah, I played Area 51 in an arcade not too long ago. Just for giggles mostly, and because it was and still remains not a great light gun game. Arcade game. But yeah, I haven't played a home console where I need a gun in a while. It's been a bit since I did that. Okay, which one do we need? This one, then a square here. That. Uh, Even when they're not great, there's something special. I agree. Actually had a dream about Time Crisis. Near future, I'm going to go seek that out. That sounds weird, Lashbrook, but okay. I did come. I did some of my own building today. You got the broken token organizer from Gloomhaven. 6 hours. Wow. Wow, board. That's 6 hours is no small build. That's a lot. That's a lot of work. But hey, you got to assemble it. Rode says he did that. They did that a few months ago. Huh. All right, do we need one of these? There's nothing to really say about this particular assembly other than I'm doing it. It's kind of putting itself together. Just follow instructions, trying not to screw anything up. And then once we do this, we will do the exact opposite on the other side and then connect them together. Feels a little flimsy, but that's probably because it needs to be attached in a couple places. But it does feel a little flimsy. And then this goes. Whoops. This piece has been popping off a lot, which makes me think that part of the U-wing is also going to pop off a bunch because this piece keeps falling. So I don't know. I'm a little worried about that. All right, so that goes in there like that. And then, all right, locked. It does lock in. I'll say that about this. So let's see if we can look at the mechanism. Spent 3 or 4 yesterdays just working on a core fighter. That's still not done. Real grades can be a lot. They don't seem like they'd be that much, but they can add up a lot of work. Okay, so there's on a hinge here, and you can see there's a little piece that goes and slides into this empty spot. And you don't have to put much pressure on to get it in there. You do have to put a little pressure on to line it up. And then there is a piece right here that locks in with a ball here. And it does seem to connect pretty well. So, I mean, it's Lego. I trust them, but I was a little worried about this connecting. But yeah, it connected. Okay. We did one. Now it's trying to do the other one. And a piece did just fly off when I put it down. And I don't know where it went. So that's always fun. Should be okay. We'll find it later. It doesn't look like anything super important there. All right. So we're going to do what we did, just the other way. Yeah, it's a lot of pieces of sand, panel height. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're also, obviously, Lastbrook, you are doing more than I do when I'm building. I don't often do the amount of detail work that other people will put into a kit. I am mostly just building. Although I will say, the high grade, you guys, y'all watched me put more stickers on that high grade than I do in general, mainly because high grade stickers aren't too hard to put on, and also, I mean, that was a death scythe. I was going to treat it right. I wasn't going to mistreat my death scythe. Okay, and that goes on like that. All right. Of course, I'm going to treat my death scythe with tender, loving care. It's my death scythe. And this goes here. Can almost do this from memory because I just did it. But, there's a few things that I got to remember where they go and how they go. It goes like that. It goes like that. And then that goes that so it hangs off. But yeah, I mean, I've always wished that I could do a little more detail work. Um, I've often thought about going back through some of the kits that are a ways away from sending out to y'all uh, and doing some detail work. Speaking of which, the last stream of the month will be, I'm going to look at it, Saturday, September 30th will be, oh no, the 29th. The 29th, 2 weeks from now, will be the last stream of the month. Um, and I will give away 2 kits at that stream because the winner of the last um, uh, month's giveaway, where I give away a kit that I built, never responded, and then their subscription expired. So, which is fine, except that they have never contacted me. So I think they were just a one and done, like, here's a month, thank you. And that's fine because it means that I can give the kit away to somebody else. So I'll have 2 kits that I'll give away in September to subscribers. So for the month of September. So that's pretty cool. Happy to do that. And then yeah, I don't even remember what the other piece will be. One of them is the Exia real grade, the first real grade we ever built on stream. And then I don't know what the other one is, but let me look at it. I have a list. I have to update my list because it's been a while since I wrote kits that I work on, but I usually keep a good list. Um, so, oh no, the Exia went to Herald. This was the Wing Gundam Real Grade, the second Real Grade we ever did. It was the Wing Gundam Real Grade that has a transformation. Uh, So someone's going to win that, and then somebody else is going to win the GM Sniper 2, which is a fantastic kit. That was one of the first kits that I have no connection to that I just thought looked awesome, and it does. The GM Sniper 2 is a rad kit, so I'm excited to send that out. But yeah, I had forgotten that I had done 2 real grades in a row. So the second real grade that I'm sending out is that one, which is very cool. All right, that is an unnecessary email. An email I don't have to look at yet. This there. Great. So yeah, I'll be doing 2 giveaways. I haven't announced the exact information about it. I will soon, but I think I'm going to do 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Monday the 24th. Monday the 24th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. I will be doing a live stream. That'll be my bonus game stream, the once a month stream where I don't build anything, I just play games. We'll do Quiplash and maybe TKO and other games. Maybe that numbers one, the percentage one, was pretty fun. Espionage, I might try that again. That was pretty cool. It's just another game to play, but that was fun. And then I'll play something else as well before we start playing those games. I don't know what yet, but it'll be something. This wing is slightly different than the other. The other has 3 white panels. This one has a white, a gray, and then a white panel. So it actually isn't 100% uniform. It's slightly different. Which is pretty neat. And then there, goes like that. And then this, and then this. Yeah, so these aren't 100% uniform. The wings have a slight difference to them. Not much, but a slight one. And then build this thing, which I pretty much remember how to do. So let's see. The anime that I watched, well, first and foremost, Cells at Work. I found out today that Cells at Work is actually going to be 13 episodes, not 12. Today was the 11th episode, so it's 12 is like a two-parter, and that'll be the season finale is episode 12 and 13. So that's cool to hear because I really do dig that show. And so excited that I have 13 episodes instead of just 12. Um, this particular episode was also very good. It continues to be just a refreshing, really positive, awesome show about the human body. Uh, yeah, overall, still really digging Cells at Work. Is definitely my favorite anime this season. Um, and then I did a thing that some of you might be surprised about that I haven't yet. There was one. Oh yeah, there was one bonus OVA of Laid Back Camp that I hadn't seen. So for each of the 3 Blu-rays that came out in Japan, they added an extra bonus episode. And one of them is like 5 minutes, one of them is 6 minutes, and one of them is 12 minutes. And there's like 2 that are just like in the room. One's a prequel to the show, which is very cute. And then one is about one of the character's sisters and is very silly and very cute. And the other one is just so weird. It's like 12 minutes, and the premise is it's almost like, what if Laid Back Camp wasn't so real to true to life and slice of life? What if it was like kind of fantastical? Like, I don't know. I don't want to ruin the weirdness of it, but it's very weird. Um, and I hadn't seen it because they're not. Uh, hey, I figured out how to auto host channels since they remade the Twitch settings. Oh, that's cool. Good on ya, Johnny. Yeah, so I didn't know. I hadn't seen these episodes, these mini ones. I'd watched 2 of them. I hadn't watched the really weird one, because it makes sense that they weren't licensed. Sometimes uh, um, the bonus episodes are full, complete OVAs, like New Game, um, the Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, and like Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid and um, uh, Interviews with Monster Girls. The OVA actually got licensed because they're full episodes, but the OVA for New Game never got licensed. You have to like track it down, and I don't think these OVAs will. Maybe they would package them all together as one episode. Um, they're just fun and silly, and I tracked down fan subs of them because I wanted to see them because they aren't licensed in the U.S. So I wanted to check those out. I just want Cool Grandpa spinoff. Yeah, there's no Cool Grandpa in any of these mini episodes. I think Cool Grandpa would be a fun addition to the show. A little bit more Grandpa. I wait for them to find out. That is the big secret of the show, is that this Cool Grandpa character, who you could argue is the reason that all these characters are together. Clearly, Outdoor Club would eventually camp. They would eventually gone camping. Maybe even Nadesco would have found an interest in it. But if Rin's grandfather hadn't spurred her interest in camping, who knows what would have happened. So it is like, but it would be fun for Aki to find out that the Cool Grandpa dude that she met was actually Rin's grandpa. That would be cool. I didn't want to go all in on Laid Back Camp, but like I said, I just watched 12 minutes of a very weird kind of episode of it. So, I don't know. I put this piece on the wrong spot. We'll see if this is going to be tough. I think the middle might be the way to go. Yes, the middle was the way to go. Okay, so I'll redo that again and talk about it. This piece should be over one more. As you can see, it doesn't line up. I need to leave a spot because I need to put this on this side. And so I was trying to use the separator to pull like this, but that's not going to work. And then I was trying on this side, but what I should have been doing, which I figured out, was going this way, and then it came up. It's a nice little, such a wonderful device. I have a bunch of these because I've done a bunch of big kits, and I always make sure that I have some on hand, even for little tiny kits. Very essential. Let's see. So, was there any other anime that I wanted to talk about? Don't know. Oh, we got to put more hinges on here, and then more white pieces here. Two more of these, and two more hinges have to go on. Makes sense that they would add more hinges. I just use my fingernails and grunt. I understand. Yeah. So the larger kits, Road. These come with the larger kits. Like when you get over a certain 100 pieces. These are obviously pretty new kind of things. And the fulcrum, you can use it for this. You can put pieces underneath. You can poke through. You can also just use this as a wedge. Sometimes you can just wedge up a piece up, like a piece like this. You would use the wedge to get up, and it works very well. I still use this sometimes. I will use a sponger from like an iPhone repair kit, especially with decals. I use this a lot for decal application on Lego. But this is a wonderful tool. Um, yes, and the latest the versions that come out in modern kits, this has been improved upon. The original version of this, an earlier version, I've had earlier versions of this, and they were still good, but this is just wonderful design. And the hope is you never have to use them, but if you got to use them, they're awesome. All right, so put that there, and that will protect our wings even more. So our wings can do this. It's just cool. But yeah, now we have our U. Here's our U for our U-wing fighter. And we'll keep assembling. And then pretty soon we will be ready to start knolling bag 3. There's not a lot of pieces left in this bag. Bag 2. Eventually we'll probably be building the cockpit up, which is over here. And then this is like bigger. It'll raise up some. So we've got some building to do. And then we need those 4-piece. That great. I had an old one that wasn't great, but ones I've had lately are fantastic. Yes. Yeah, I don't really have nails anyway. I like to keep my nails very trim. So I have trouble when it comes to like digging, which is why I have the other devices to help me with that because I'm just not good at it otherwise. But yeah, once these things came about and became common knowledge pieces, it's been very helpful. Uh, Very cool. So even like when we did the Lego challenge, I took 2 of these with me and brought them out to so that my guests could build on those. All right, we got to put some decals on. It's decal time. We're putting decals 5 and 6 on. So I'm gonna take my decals out. I'm gonna put it there. Um, this is number 5. So as always, I'm gonna take my time. Now the nice thing about Lego decals is you can screw up and you can redo quite a few times. If I can get this up, there it goes. You can fix your mistakes. So we will do our best to nail it, but we do have the ability. And the nice thing is also this particular one is like going off a corner, so it would actually very easy to apply. And then we got to put the other one on a corner as well. And they don't have to be perfect. I'm fine with them not being perfect. In fact, I know they won't ever be perfect because I'm not perfect. There. That's not perfect at all, but I'm fine with it. It's like weird electronic connectivity. It looks like something's happening there. It's not perfect at all, but I'm fine with that because I'm not ever gonna nail it when it comes to those things. I'm always just gonna do my damnedest. We need two of these, two of these, and two of these. You bite your nails successfully. So yeah, I don't do that. I trim them pretty regularly, uh, out of habit, and then I just hope that I never need them to get underneath things. That's why I got a lot of tools to help me. All right. So I don't want to talk about it in depth, but I did also. I asked my girlfriend to help with stickers. She did stickers and they entered. Yeah, the model kits. I've done some sticker application for the Dragon Ball model kits because they're like can be kind of fun. It's like King Kai's symbol on the back of Goku's vest. Like okay, I can try that out. So I did want to say I watched because I've been watching this season of Adventure Zone, not Adventure Zone, Adventure Time. So that's that was a mistake. I've been watching Adventure Time, and I'm done with Adventure Time. And I'm not going to talk about it because there's some people that were like waiting for the season to be over. They're that let it kind of catch up. That kind of trailed off and might be interested in watching. So I'm not going to say anything because it's a lot. Except I will say that they done did it. I'm real proud of all of the Adventure Time writers and the creators and everyone that worked on that show. I think they stuck the landing and it was very cool. And I think that one of the big, like, there's a lot of subtext in that show. There's a lot of undercurrents. There was a lot of, were you planning this out this far in advance stuff in that show? Um, but I think this one particular thing is a thing that people have been waiting for a long time, and they paid it off. And I don't know, it did my heart well. Um, I was very pleased with the outcome of Adventure Time. Uh, and just, yeah, the last couple themes of it I thought were so strong and so cool. And I was so pleased with how it turned out. Uh, and yes, you could get one of the big things spoiled. So there's a couple big things. There's a couple very big things about that show. And one of them people could not keep to themselves and had to talk about. And you know what? I get it. Sometimes there are folks out there that don't get enough of those big moments. And so when they get them, they're going to celebrate them and they can't kind of keep quiet about it. There's a lot of other shit that went down in that show. Um, but that's one of the ones that's like, what? Oh no. That's incredible. So yeah, I was very pleased overall. Um, oh, I think I missed. Did I miss? Yes. I'm gonna go back because I apparently didn't put the thing somewhere. Some point I definitely missed a step. And I gotta go back and see what I messed up. Ah, that goes on there. That's what I messed up. Okay. I just didn't put that piece on. That's fine. Should be okay. Uh, uh, yeah, Johnny, I do understand. We do want to be able to talk about things. I think that I've always felt a little weird about people that, that watch things live and comment live, um, because not everyone is doing that. But I also after the fact, hey, you say, mute me for the next 10 minutes. I'm going to talk about a thing. Or whatever. Or I'm using the hashtag that if you haven't watched this thing yet, you should mute this hashtag. And I'm going to keep using it. because I want to talk about this. I think that's a reasonable thing to do for folks is to like have those like, hey, I'm talking about a thing. Don't look over here if you don't want to know about it. Um, for some of the big moments in culture. Uh, but I also understand how people might not think this is. People might not know that this is a place where, like, I'm going to talk about a thing that happened at the end of Adventure Time, a show that I have never spoken about during a stream. As far as I know, maybe I have, but I don't think I have. So, not going to bring it up. Um, all right, we're going to start Nolan Bag 3. Uh, I have no issue with folks wanting to talk about stuff. Just give someone a chance to drop off. Yeah, exactly, bored. I mean, that's the goal, right? Is to be respectful and reasonable. Like, if I was going to talk about the bigger questions, I would. Like, I think it's totally fair to be like, hey, this piece of artwork I did for the comic books, they asked me to redraw it with a character that wasn't in it. And that's going to be in the end of the very end, one of the very end montages has this like badass cool art in it of the princesses, and one of the princesses wasn't in the original comic book version of it. Like that, I think is totally reasonable to talk about because that's just a thing that like doesn't ruin anything for anyone to be like, oh, that's kind of cool that they like ask this person to do it. Uh, yeah, so like I think that's reasonable, but I'm not going to talk about the personal revelation and the huge moment that happened between a couple characters and how it's like fucking rad as shit. I'll say it's rad as shit, but I won't talk about that because people haven't watched it yet. Or like I said, maybe they just didn't have time. Yeah, it's hard to watch everything. I don't see everything. Like stuff that happens at night, like prime time stuff, I never get to see live because I am either working or live streaming when it happens. So I don't see those things. All right, so we're just going to general color null here. Nice and quick. It looks like bag 3 has some small pieces in it, but it seems to primarily be the three, you know, the two grays, black, and maybe a little bit of another color. But most part seems to be black and two grays. So we'll just quickly do that. Yeah, so bored. Yeah, it wouldn't be a spoiler for you because it's not a show you've watched. So I understand. But, like, I'm not here to spoil things. I am here to discuss things. Um, especially, like, a lot of times I'm talking about anime stuff, like, that I know that y'all aren't watching. You're just kind of like, you get your check-ins with me. And maybe you're watching along. But I usually try not to spoil, like, big things. Like, um, when I was watching when it was live, How to Keep a Mummy. Um, How to Keep a Mummy was a very cute show. It had some realness to it. It had some heart and some depth to it. But for the most part, it was pretty laid back as far as the show goes and pretty cute. And then in the second to last episode, at the end of that second to last episode, oh, some real fucking drama happened. And it was a cliffhanger. And it was fucking like, holy shit. And I acknowledged that it was a holy shit thing, but didn't say what had happened because I knew that some people were watching that show, but didn't watch it the day that I was streaming. You know, that they weren't watching it like as soon as possible. Because not everybody gets to like some of these anime shows come out in the US in the afternoon on my time, and I can watch them because I go to work at night. So like I get to see stuff before some people do. So like I'm not going to be like I was like, "Hey, this big dramatic thing happened." That's rare for the show to have a big dramatic thing. But I didn't say like what happened because like that's not fair to people. Um Talking about the overall impressions of things, but not necessarily like this week's episode of Overlord was them getting ready for a big battle and kind of the futility of that because it ain't gonna work out. So like, okay, I can talk about that. I might talk about a moment that was kind of cool. Uh, there's a moment on top of a tower with three dudes that I kind of like the characters, and it was like, oh, I don't know if any. I think one of these characters is going to survive, but I have a feeling two of them are not. At least one of them is definitely going to die. So it's like, okay, uh, it's just weird stuff like watching these things take place like that. Like, you know, if it's a thing that's happening and a lot of people are talking about it, then you talk about it. But if not a lot of people are talking about it, like you can just shut up about it, and it's fine. You can just be like, okay, um, that happened, something happened, and we'll just move on. I'm not here to kill anybody's like good time, I should say. Yeah, broad strokes. I can talk about. Uh, we're leading into the climactic episode of the last episode of the season of How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, and I will say that it's gone in directions I don't particularly enjoy. And there was a thing in 2 episodes ago that was just fucking the worst. But then they did a thing that was kind of interesting. They played with an idea that I thought was pretty good. And I was like, huh, it was pretty intriguing. Um, the idea of one of the themes of the show has been the resurrection of the demon lord, and it happened in a weird way, and that was temporary, but it did happen in a weird way that I didn't see coming. So I was like, oh, good on ya. It's kind of cool. Johnny says, me and my girlfriend watched Shrek today, the first Shrek. That was a decision we made. Okay, I have seen that Shrek before. I have also seen that Shrek. How does Shrek 1 hold up in 2018? Because Road says it holds up. Shrek is okay. All right. Thank you for the update. I appreciate that. Um, yes, Bored. You've also been watching Demon Lord. Yeah, like, um, I think like the biscuit lover was kind of an interesting, weird little character thing, and then the betrayal we saw coming, but it's still kind of interesting how she got to be like that. And then, but then also there was that whole shocker thing, and that was the worst. And why the fuck did that happen? Why the fuck did that happen, Bored? Why did the shocker thing happen? I was like, oh, am I done with the show? I'm not done with that show. I hate myself sometimes for liking this genre, but I'm not done with the show. Really just like that genre so much. I started rewatching Dog Days because Dog Days is legitimately the closest thing possible to the genre without weird sex stuff. Um, there's still a little bit, but it's so minor that you can kind of like pretend it's not there, which is awesome because it's so prevalent in every one of those shows. Uh, um, it is that the genre that like that genre that I do enjoy the in a fantasy world, but I have the memories of what I did in the real world, and I have the knowledge of what I did in the real world, or now maybe I have powers I didn't have before, which is also what Overlord is. Be it fantasy or video game, I really like that genre. And Dog Days has like some jokes in it that like are there's like slimes at one point, and then there's like um uh at one point they can become like the adult versions of themselves. They're youngsters. They're like preteens and teens that are powerful warriors. Eventually, like one of them becomes the adult form and is like holding on to one of them like as they're flying, like around his waist, and she's like, "This feels inappropriate when you're a big person." And I was like, "Okay, that come on." But for the most part, Dog Days is just about adventure and people liking each other and friendship, uh, and not as etchy and harem-y as all the other fucking shows. Gate has its moments of being gross, but also is oftentimes not. So I appreciate that because sometimes it's not gross and weird. For the most part, it's just like whatever. It's more innocent and gratuitous. Yes, yes, bored. Yeah. You're right. I mean, that's what it is. It's more like, oh, that's we know that's inappropriate. Than like it's a lot of like, I fell from a fall height and we and our lips touched each other. That's weird and inappropriate. It's usually more of that. This is weird. So you would think this would just be like a mask that would go over someone's head, but it's got the pegs in it, or it goes and fits in the peg, and then this dude is this dude. Works out pretty well. And then these guys have guns because they're rebels, so they gotta have laser guns. All right, put in our minifig pile. All right, we knolled. We're going to get building in a moment or two. I'm going to push these back some. Um, Sometimes when Gate plays with sexuality, it's pretty funny. It's going for like, yes, yes, Johnny. It is weird. The Rory stuff is oftentimes very weird because she looks so young, but isn't young. Like when one of the characters, the dark elf, is very mad at the main character because she makes an assumption. Um, yes, that stuff is kind of weird. Uh, and the imperialism is obviously the more problematic of that part of the show. Of that show. Uh, yes, I and also I like that for some reason the princess keeps forgetting that they're in Japan. Like I don't understand that sub game. The sub game of her being like, I didn't know we had such wonderful libraries, and being like, we're not another place, princess. Like that princess is pretty smart. Otherwise, I don't know why the princess in Gate is when they go to visit Japan is like, what they have these kind of things. I think that's very funny. I don't know why that is in the show. I think it's very funny. Um, the anime is less gross. Well, that's good. I don't think I'm gonna ever read that manga, so that helps. All right, it's that time, everybody. It's that time where I put links in the chat, and then later you can read them if you're watching this on YouTube. So first and foremost, if you're watching, if you just follow the Twitch links or you know when I stream, consider uh, following me on here. Give me a follow, turn on your notifications so you know when I stream. Also, if you're a follower and you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing. For just $5 a month, or your Twitch coin, if you're keeping Twitch Prime, if you're sticking with Twitch Prime, you can get the use of the Bear Cave emote, which Board just used there. You can put the Bear Cave emote in there, which is nice, um, which is pretty cool. Another way you can support me is through my Patreon. I put a link in the Patreon there. Patreon, I'm trying to hit $150 a month, and then I will stream an hour every Monday. Every Monday will be a build stream. And so I'll go from 4 hours a week to 5 hours a week of building. That's a thing that I will do if I hit $150 a month on Patreon. There are some cool rewards on Patreon. You should check it out. Consider it. I've also got an Amazon wish list. I just put new things in the wish list. I put a bunch of new things that I think would be cool to have, and you could back that wish list or go on the wish list, buy something, and I'll build it. And if there's ever something you think I should build on the stream and you would be interested in purchasing it and you don't see it on the stream, you don't see it on my wish list, tell me about it. Uh, uh, yeah. I yes, the $10 a month Patreon gets a vote on kits. Um, and generally it's like one person, sometimes two, and that's fine. But they get to vote on what I build next, which is why we're doing the U Wing before we do the Bawu. We're gonna just do the Bawu next because it came off the both of the things, both the Bawu and the U Wing that we're building right now came off my Amazon wish list, which is rad. And I also have a tip jar if you're like I can't do it monthly, but every once in a while I could kick you a few dollars. I've got my coffee, which is a way to support me right there. And any money I make through Patreon, through Twitch, through I'm close to getting $100 on YouTube and be able to actually get paid by YouTube. Uh, and my coffee all goes to me buying equipment or kits. I shouldn't need to buy any equipment. The next thing I have to buy is for PAX Unplugged. I'm going to do 2 panels at PAX Unplugged, so I need to buy the kits we're going to build there. That's the next thing I actually have to build. My backlog of kits to build is pretty good right now. Um, I have a Discord. You could join the Discord, which is right there. Um, and that's it. That's it for that. Um, so let's see. I need to catch up on Yuna and the Haunted Hot Springs. I'm behind on that. I'm going to catch up on that and Chio's School Road. Those are the two shows I definitely want to catch up on. Um, and Planet With, I like Planet With. I've been kind of watching it, but not talking about it. Um, it's pretty interesting. Planet With is pretty cool. But there's so much anime coming out in October that I'm trying to finish up the stuff that I want to watch this month because there'll be a little bit because it looks like everything's wrapping up in the next couple weeks. But most of the shows I want to watch are starting the first week of October. Which also, I will be at New York Comic Con the first weekend of October. My streams will be the same. I will be streaming the same times as normal. Don't worry about that. It's just during the day I'll be at Comic Con. And I might be running a panel or I might be on a panel. I don't know yet. I'm waiting to find out. Um, Also, it's September. Now, how September is working this year, one, September, ha ha ha. So, if you've ever been gifted a subscription to something, you can renew that subscription for 1 month in September for $1. So if anyone's ever gifted you a sub, you can just go and do that. So I encourage you to gift people subs out there. Maybe gift them subs to my channel. I don't know. It's kind of cool. And you know, I believe that the Twitch will pay the balance of it, and it will be like you're paying the full amount to the subscriber or to the streamer. So that's a cool little thing. Uh, I've got a marathon, a bunch of My Hero Academia. I've gotten way behind. Yeah, I'm behind a little bit because I like to wait for the season to end. I caught up a little bit because I couldn't help it, but now I've let it build up. I know where we're at in the anime because I have seen this fight in the manga, and it's a fucking doozy. All right, so I'm going to quickly tweet out that we're still working. I'm just going to send another tweet out, see if we can get a few more folks to join us. These keys are annoying. Um, keys on this little keyboard. But whatever. It's wireless. I don't have to worry about it. This and the wireless mouse work great for what they are. I've got like batteries in both and they both work perfectly. So can't really complain too much about it. But yeah, I've got a marathon, a couple shows before the seasons are over. Um, the nice thing is that my friends who I talk to about anime, um, outside of cells at work, we're all watching different things. So, like, I have a friend who's watching Attack on Titan who hasn't given up on Attack on Titan. Um, so they're doing fine because nobody else in our group is watching it anymore. So they don't have to worry about spoilers. They don't have anyone to talk to about it, but they don't have to worry about spoilers. Um, and then, like, a couple of us are watching Cells at Work, so we can talk about that. And a couple of us are watching other stuff. And I'm not watching the tennis or the badminton anime, which apparently goes places. And, like, I'm not watching the diving anime, um, which, yeah, I've heard nothing about. Um, and then I was not watching the anime about the boy that goes to a boarding house with a bunch of girls and might be in love with a big boobed home taker, the caretaker. I'm not watching that show. I'm glad I'm not watching it. Uh, so yeah, uh, there's something for everybody out there. Seems like there's a lot of shows. Uh, let's see. Watching Attack on Titan and doing fine. Yep. I tried to watch a women's wrestling anime and it was too sexy. I understand. Yeah, I could see that. Uh, but there's this anyway. Yeah, I mean that board. It's an awesome time. There was a 2 seasons ago was a little rough. Sometimes the seasons aren't killer. I am like kind of nervous about this next season because there's so much anime coming out um, in this next season that like I'm definitely gonna be behind on things I want to watch. So I'm a little worried about that. But overall, it's like just cool how much anime there is out there. All right, so I messed up. This piece needs to go here and can't because I put this piece is now where it shouldn't be. So I'm going to try to fix this easily, and then I might have to get creative with it. So first, I'm going to use my sponger here. Um, yeah, there is some anime. I can't remember the name of it. That is like it's wrestling, but it's anime ladies. I believe it's based on uh a a video game that it was like dirty, and so they made it pretty dirty because it's based on that. All right, so I got that piece up, put it in the right spot. This should go in perfect. It did, and then I can replace the piece that I had to pop off to fix it. That was not bad at all. Lego, it's sometimes it's complicated. Most of the time, you figure it out. Uh, it was on sale on Prime Day, strongest in the world or something, huh? When you forget your native language's word for cage. Like fuck for Google Translate. Yeah, I don't know if there's a when's the Evangelion of sort of gay sports anime. I mean, I don't know. There's plenty of very gay sports anime out there these days. Um, there's definitely a conversation to be had about that, about where we're at as far as just acknowledging it. So, in some shows, there are, I'm watching, there are clear undertones. The subtext is text, as someone smarter than me once put it. Um, and in some instances, it's just like understood and it's not a big deal. And in other shows, it's like clearly happening but never talked about. And it's very interesting to think about that. Like what was it? So in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, the thing that is keeping Toru and Kobayashi from being together, uh, Harold just subscribed, uh, gifted a tier to the Hollow. Thank you so much, Harold, for doing that. The Hollow, enjoy the sweet, sweet um, emotes that you can throw in here. Enjoy that. Harold, thank you so much for doing that for the Hollow. That's awesome of you to do. Um, so yeah, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. They talk about how it's not going to work out, and it's not because they're both women. It's because Miss Kobayashi doesn't know how to doesn't understand the concept of being wanted. It's not a thing that she's experienced. She doesn't know what to do with Toru's feelings. She's very nervous and scared about them. It's not the fact that they're both women. That isn't a part of the issue, which is honestly refreshing. It's just refreshing as hell. Or a show like Slow Start that I was talking about, that show was it was very much all these female characters have crushes on each other. It is very clear that these characters like each other a lot and have crushes on each other, but none of it's talked about. New Game, the anime New Game. Spoilers for the end of the second season, but two characters that are clearly in love with each other get labeled as lovebirds, and one of them kind of gushes about that. And it's huh. They do talk about boyfriends here and there and about why they don't have boyfriends, but and then a couple of the characters are very clearly gay, but it's not discussed when these characters end up together, for better or worse. I think part of that show would be better if they discussed it and were more open about it, instead of just having a whole show where none of the ladies are interested in dudes, clearly, but nobody talks about it. I don't know. I'm gonna cough. Pardon me. Yes, happy September, and indeed, Harold. Thank you very much for that. I mean, not only are you benefiting the Hollow with the subscription, you're also benefiting me. Hooray! But yeah, I think a lot of sports anime, men in sports anime, those undertones are there, and they're just discussed, but not really not really brought up. I mean, occasionally they are in some shows. They do talk about it, but I don't know. They'd be better if they were just more open with it. 100%. Those shows would be better. All right. From the New World has some interesting young characters exploring their sexualities and dating stuff that isn't too weird, except when it's metaphysically weird. Yes, I do remember that show, and you're right. The dating stuff wasn't the weird part of that show. I don't remember a lot of it, but yeah, I mean that's I think it's just like no one in the Naruto universe is gay. Really? Because and that's I think that's partly because the show is obsessed with was doing Boruto, so knowing they were going to do Boruto, they didn't none of those characters ended up with other characters or with same-sex partners because they're obsessed with having offspring that are now the leads in the new show. But Really? None of those characters are gay or asexual? Like the fact that Sai is not asexual is unbelievable to me because that character has like is definitely feels ace, feels like an ace character. So I was very surprised when he ends up like with someone. I was just shocked that that character ended up in a romantic relationship. Very, very surprising. But yeah, there's like no homosexual relationships in that entire series, entire universe. So Gara adopted a kid. There's like a tough kid that Gara adopted, um, so that because he like is definitely like strong and was an orphan. His parents, I think, died in the Great War. Um, I think I can't remember for 100%, but I think that's. I know he adopted a kid. So Gara, as far as I know, is not does not have is not in a romantic relationship. But Gara might be the only person in the entire characters that like didn't end up with anyone except maybe like uh what's her name? Nope, that's wrong. Um I don't know. There are a couple characters that I guess ended up alone, but it was very like okay. Yeah, I don't think Gara has a partner, but Gara might be the only one without one. I don't know. I don't like to, I like to ship as much as if not more than the next person, but I guess like questioning a character's sexuality is rude. That's not that ain't a good thing. But like I said, some of those characters definitely didn't seem like they would be in purely straight relationships. And to be fair, Ochimaru did reproduce asexually, so he's not in a heterosexual relationship. There is one character in that series that did reproduce asexually, so that's something, I guess. I actually can't remember if he did reproduce asexually or if he just cloned himself as a young person and used someone else's DNA because it's an exact copy. Yeah, it doesn't exactly count as ace rep. No, no. I was not saying that. I hope clear. I wasn't saying that Ochimaru represents an ace character at all. I'm trying to think about other anime where there's like no gay characters, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's the big one. Just because with Boruto, they're so like someone had like Lee has a kid. There's Metal Lee. Lee married someone and had a child. Like, okay, sure. Just about everybody had a kid at some point. I don't know if 1010 had a kid. I don't remember if she did. But just about everybody in that show has a child. And then there are like kids in the show that are like their parents weren't big known characters in Naruto, which is like important to have. But most of them are the offspring. There's some people in Bleach that it would be real bullshit if they turn out straight. Hello, Mr. Bob. Welcome. Uh, no, I think everyone. I think everyone in. Um, there were certainly some characters that were heterosexual. Uh, I think a lot of characters in Bleach we didn't know. Well, they didn't talk about their sexuality because they were concentrating on their jobs. Didn't have time for stuff like that, basically. But yeah, no, there were definitely some characters that were in love with each other who were same sex, like 100%. A bunch of those characters had dead wives, though. I mean, a lot of those guys had dead wives. It's a real like cliche in that show. Okay, and this is the cockpit. I believe we were building the cockpit. It's coming along pretty good. Uh, but yeah, I was talking the other day about how about Hunter x Hunter and how like uh, while it was very clear that like Gon like had romantic relationships with women, um, he was definitely like very fluid about his sexuality, and clearly Killua and Gon are in love with each other. Like it may not be a love that is ever romantic, but it is a love far stronger than most anime. Those two characters were definitely in love with each other. Uh, it was like very obvious. Do do do. I mean, the mangaka just did what he did with Hiei and Kurama, only it was the main characters this time. Because that's he was just like younger and the main characters. We'll just do that. Pretty torn about all this from this more new leaning shows. I totally understand, Johnny. Not all of it, but a lot of it does feel like um, there are dramas where that is it's very like clear what's happening, and it's part of the show. Um, there's something interesting about the kind of representation right now that is just like everybody knows, and we're not going to talk about it. Like I said with Dragon Maid, like the decision, like Kobayashi's never like Toru, this isn't going to work. I don't like girls. It's just like Toru, this isn't going to work. I'm your boss, and we have a weird dynamic. And I also don't understand how to be in a relationship. Uh, like it's that kind of a thing. That's interesting. I think it's super interesting. And like that's what people are exploring, like those themes. I joked about it a bit before. Like, I can't relate to all this stuff about well-adjusted sports kids and stuff. Yeah, I get that. I mean, if you want some non-adjusted sports kids, that badminton show, I there's something interesting about the idea that there's like the whole premise is that there's this girl who turns out to be incredible at badminton, and she had no idea, and no one had any idea. But big old spoiler for Hannibal, she used to be really good at table tennis or at badminton, and then like blocked it out of her mind, and now she's back in that mindset and like being she's basically like your young like they basically did the like upstart who discovered their passion late in their teens, and they're just like, nope, you're the villain now. I was like, what the fuck? So like I said, I haven't watched it, but I've heard it fucking goes places. um I don't know, but like it's this weird like she lost, and then like gave up the life and then blocked it out of her memories, and now she's back in it. I don't know. It's this whole fucking thing. She's got the scary eyes. Uh, oh yeah, Johnny, I totally understand what you're saying. I think that there is that. I think that like, or the show like that show. Now I'll admit I did not watch any of Citrus because it did not look good. But I think Citrus like fucking dealt with it. I think people weren't all cool, and those characters were kind of broken. I don't know. I didn't like I said I did not watch Citrus, but I know some people were enjoyed it for how bad it was. That it was a bad queer show. People enjoyed that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I want that too. You know, I want Dream Daddy, but I also like want to play like series where there are characters that are like not accepting of a trans man or characters who suddenly aren't as interested in you because they find out that you were bisexual and not gay. Um, like the complicated version of Dream Daddy is also important. But like I also like a show where lesbians don't get murdered. If there's a show and the lesbians live, that's good too. Because that cliche is just a bummer. Uh, oh, bloom into you. Okay. Yeah. Yes. And Smash Mouth, Johnny, I do think that there need to be shows where it being queer isn't your character trait. It's just a character trait. It's not your character trait, and I think that is very important. That shows up in entertainment. I think that's incredibly important that we see that in media. Those moments where people can, yeah, just that they are, but that's not the thing you know about them. Um, and it's tough because people want like they don't want subtext; they want text. Some people really want text, and they need text. And then the fear is, well, if you don't do subtext and you just do text, is now the show about that? And it's like, well, maybe, but I don't know. Huh. Uh, Bloom to You is gay and is more about people dealing with like stuff. Uh, and there's a bit of, but we're girls, but it doesn't do a ton of that. And enjoy the manga, huh? And Kasa-san is good. That's cool. Yeah, I think there's definitely room for stuff like that, and it's necessary to have things like that, to have that representation of both in my mind, of both like this is a show about dealing with this and about this being a thing, and then also like, hey, here's a show. Also, this character likes girls. Okay, cool. Or this character is asexual. Okay, you know, uh, it meant a lot to me that for a unfortunate brief period of time, Jughead was ace in the Archie comics. And that fucking felt awesome to have a very well known character out in the world that was just like talked about it, didn't make it a big deal, was just how they saw the world. And that didn't last, unfortunately, but it was fucking cool to be able to point at an ace character in popular fiction that wasn't like defined by it. It was just like, What's up? Thought that was awesome. Yes, Sin, I agree with you there. I think that um that it's healthy, and I understand why, totally healthy and reasonable why people were like, this is not my experience when they played Dream Daddy, because it was like the best case scenarios of just like a cul-de-sac where there's a bunch of gay dads, and how like that was never a fucking problem. And I totally understand how that, like, for some people was like not what they wanted, and others they wanted that escapism. But I think like if there are stories that reflect it in various ways, then it benefits us all. More stories lead to more nuances. I got to cough again. I'm gonna drink a little water. Errol brings up a very good point. For me, it's seeing characters with autism in popular media like Overwatch, Sesame Street, and Power Rangers. Oh yeah, I mean, look, people want to. Not only do people want to see themselves out there existing and thriving and being, and they want to see accurate representations of themselves. Like that's the goal, right? I think in all kinds of media. Like I said, like um uh there are stories out there with ace characters and demisexual characters, and I'm thrilled about that. There aren't that many. Um but it's awesome, and yeah, I think that like if those stories are handled, you know, properly. I don't know how to say that right. I don't think it might not be in my vocabulary at the moment to to say exactly what I mean there, but like with care and understanding that like I want to make sure I do this right. I can tell you about. I can't say who because I don't think it's public, but um, one of the characters in Dream Daddy, like it you can find out, um, is a trans man. Um, and they spoke to there's not a trans man on the show or on the team that made the game. They spoke to people that were trans and got feedback and had conversations and didn't want to fuck that up because a trans man is a gay man but is also a trans man, and like trying to make that story work was important to them, which I honestly truly respect. Um, and I think like yeah, there's some people that were unhappy with how some of the stories played out and all that, because of course they were, because you can't please everybody. Um, and there are a few things they didn't handle perfectly, because of course they didn't, because they're humans. But I do very much appreciate that they tried very hard uh, to to do the right thing when it came to those characters. I really respect that. Uh, I don't know the answer to that road. That's not a thing I know about. I hadn't investigated that far, but yeah, they definitely were like, this is outside of our knowledge base. How do we make that more inside our knowledge base? Um, and so yeah, I do appreciate that. Alright. Uh, and yes, um, Johnny, I understand where you're coming from with that. That having those the things that people kind of point to as being uh, violent and unnecessary for you are part of the process and are important. Um, and I understand that. Yeah, but I think I think that there's something to be said for acknowledging those things and accepting that, like, yeah, it's not easy. Like, if you're telling a story about gay men in the '80s and it's all lovey-dovey and there's no problems and there's no health risks and there's no threats of violence, then I don't think you're telling a American gay story in the '80s, because there's more to it than that. Um, so I thought this was a cockpit. We're actually just building the bottom of the ship, which is a weird transition to make. But yeah, I mean, for me, I want people to feel comfortable to express themselves and tell their own stories and tell the stories they want to tell. But I also want people to, like, take care in the stories they're telling. All right, so, and treat things with respect. All right, so on there, just gotta go on here, and then this locks in here, and then yeah, we built the bottom, and it's got these launchers that will shoot these little pegs, and that's the bottom of our ship. Oh, Abby mentioned that during Game of the Year. Okay, I didn't. Yeah, I don't know if I picked up on that. All right, and then on the top here, we want to slide in these pieces that are going to, like, lock in the top parts into place by sliding them in. Theoretically, we're sliding into the base. Yes. And then there. And now this thing should lock in place and shouldn't fall. And now our U-wing has lots of height, which is pretty cool. So a lot of height to this U-wing now. Put that aside there for a second. Uh, oh, Red Strings Club. Yeah, I don't know that piece of media. Um, so they ran into a problem, but yeah, I don't know that. I don't think I know that piece of media. But yeah, I mean, I see both sides to it. I see the wanting to just tell a story about that and, like, live in the moment and have it be light because it can be light, and then knowing that, well, there's a real world out there, and we should talk about the real world, and it's not all sunshine and roses, and we need to be able to talk about that. So I get it. Uh, hello, 1999. Uh, long time. Hello and welcome. You're here for the last half hour of the stream. Thanks for joining us. Uh, we're talking about gay representation in media and how sometimes it's all sunshine and roses, and that's great, and sometimes that's not great because you want to have the real life stuff, talk about it. So you came in on some pretty heavy discussions, but I think we can all be respectful and cool about it. And I think it's good to have these conversations. I'm also applying a decals to our U-wing fighter. Uh, oh, okay. So Sin says in Red String Club, there's a plot point of the villain using a character's dead name as a weapon, and it was a part written by a trans person and worked for how a shitty person would be shit. But some folks trying to be good allies got real angry and kind of created a bit of a hate mob. Okay, I did remember hearing about that. Yes, that a dead name was used, and it felt like it was used so casually without any knowledge that people were upset. And I have known folks that have dead names that um, still have to live with those names, either through legal paperwork or family members that won't update and change their language. And I have friends who have moved on to their names and will cut people out that don't use their new real names, true names. And yeah, I have friends who are like, yeah, I changed my name as I grew, but call me whatever. It doesn't matter. It's more important to me that I know that's my name. So I can understand that, like, through just my own personal experiences, how that can be different. Um, Also, my day has been pretty good. Uh, Paper roll, and I didn't have the post it to use the requested name on the letter, and it was rough. Yeah, I understand. I think that's like a friend of mine. Um, did not go through any change of identity, other than the name that she was born with did not work for her anymore. Uh, that's not who she was, and that those were chains that held her down in a way that she no longer made sense to her to reference. And I did not handle it particularly well. This was years ago. I still was shitty, even if I was young when it happened. It was like, and I know I said out loud, "Well, you're Emily. You'll always be Emily to me." Like, I said that, and that's a thing that I have to remind myself in my quiet moments when I think about how, like, well, I've grown, but I had the capacity of being just pure trash. I had trash capacities in my life because I said to a friend of mine, "You'll always be Emily to me," which is fucking awful. Um, but I also delight in being able to say, to call a friend of mine recently, uh, let people know that they have a name that they want us to use, and it puts on a smile on their face to see them respond when people call them by the name they prefer, their new name, their true name. That puts a smile on my face. But yeah, I will always remember how I was not great about it for a bit. And then somebody who I know and who I trusted very much was like, "Hey, she's Polo. You call her Polo. Her name is Polo. You call her Polo." It's like, okay. Yeah, I didn't. I fucked up. Yeah. Road, this is not a thing that I have experienced, but like, yeah, you can only give people so many chances to do it. I mean, like, I try not to say preferred pronoun anymore, because it's not preferred. It's actual pronouns. It's their actual name. It's not preferred. Preferred is like a weird thing to say. I'm trying to get that out of my head. But even then, it's just like, I don't know. Just be good to people because they want you to be good to them. And they need you to be good to them. Like, do the thing that other people aren't doing for your friends or loved ones or coworkers. There's a person in the UCB community that I met as one name that um, went through the transition, uh, and then and changed their first name, and then recently um, ended up taking their wife's maiden name as their professional name, um, because they really wanted to distance themselves from their previous life. And it's one of those things where you're like, okay. And that to me almost is easier because a friend of mine started hyphenating his middle name into his last name, uh, to make it more clear about his Mexican roots while auditioning. He's like, it's a thing that people should know more about, and so I'm proud of it. So I'm adding that, and that everyone just fucking accepted. They were like, oh yeah. So it's like, yeah, fucking the least you could do is accept people that just are being vulnerable and real enough with you to be like, this is what I need you to do. People are very dumb, Road. You're not wrong. Um, and I think it fucking hopefully will get easier for everyone out there to be who they are and to have people stand up and support them. Okay, so let's look at this. This is kind of cool. I want to show off this thing. So we've got like side doors on this ship, so weapons can pop out, and you can have minifigs stand here, uh, and lean out, and then these doors close. Yes, Johnny. Uh, it's very funny to be like jumping between real, honest, earnest conversations about how yes, people are more willing to call someone ninja than they are to call someone Megan, who they knew as John. Like that's real, and it's fucking shitty. Uh, that people will be more willing, yeah, that people are willing to call someone like their Twitch name or YouTube name than they are their actual real name just because it's different from what it was. Yeah. No, Johnny. I do not want to be P Bear 41. Thank you very much. I do not need to honor the street I grew up on. P Bear is fine, but I don't need the 41 in there. No thanks. This is just very cool. I'm sorry. Also, it's late enough that I'm not going to start bag 4. Just know that we will be nulling bag 4, and we're gonna make our pilot. We still got some more stickers that decals that'll be applied. Got to save that. There were some extra pieces in this one that I'm actually surprised. I wonder if I didn't put them in. I'm gonna go back because there's like 2 of these, so that seems weird. Usually there's just 1 extra. I did. Yes. These should be 0 extra. There should be in this thing here. This goes in here, and I totally missed it. I knew there was something I missed, and they're meant to be like holders, so you can hold on to it. So like you can have a minifig touch this and then lean out. So I'm gonna put these in here. I'm gonna disconnect this and put that on, and then I knew that these didn't feel like extra pieces. But we got some extra pieces. Six Slayer. Oh, no takebacks. Yeah, no. I mean, people can take back their old internet names. We all can outgrow them. Although I will say this: my first role-playing name, John Shadow, is pretty good for a dumb teen. John Shadow's. It's not great. John Shadow's not great. A detective named John Shadow is not great. Uh, it's not great. It's not bad. It's not that bad, but it's not great. All right, so now I'm going to reassemble this, remembering where things go. This is going to go here. And let's see if I can reassemble this after I took it apart. Can Pat put things back the way they're supposed to be? Did he fuck it up so bad? No, he did not. Maybe he did. Pat might have fucked things up. All I did, I just took this off. I put these little guard things on. These I'll open up so that they're wider. And then let's see if I can fix this. Arkin Kelly. Yep, that's if you were not meaning for that to be an R. Kelly reference, you goofed, because that's definitely an R. Kelly reference. All right, so this goes like this. Is that right? It goes like that. Hmm. Oh, I'm putting this on the wrong way. That makes sense. I figured it out, everybody. I was putting it on backwards. This goes this way, and this goes this. I got it. I figured it out, everybody. Everybody be cool. I got this. This happens when you screw up, like a lot. You have to really kind of figure out what you did wrong and really try to make it right. I really messed this up. All right, that looks right. Oh, look at that place. This is off. Gotta fix a bunch of this. Huh. I don't know why this is so weird. Hmm. All right, I'll do this off. This is weird. Uh, so I'm gonna wrap things up. I've got to fix this. One side, you can see it over here. As I took it apart and tried to put it back together, this got messed up. So I'm gonna do that off screen. That's gonna do it for me. I'll see you next Thursday. Reminders. Next Thursday I'll be streaming normal time. The next Thursday, next Saturday, I will be streaming, so it'll be the 20th and the 22nd of September. I'll be streaming as normal. And then the 24th of September, I'll be doing my monthly bonus game stream from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Uh, or maybe 3:30 to 5:30. No, 3 to 5, 3 to 5, 3 to 5. Yeah. And I'll see you all then. I'll see you next week for another stream. Thanks for joining. Have a great rest of your night, and I will see you all soon. Bye bye.